So today I did some fairly questionable snatches and it kind of got me thinking, is technique always important? Like, should you always be thinking about technique? Is like, if you do a bad lift, should you always be like, ugh, that was rubbish? And I was kind of just thinking today, like whilst I was snatching, like I power snatched 75 in a workout, which for those of you who know, 75 kilos is my like best ever power snatch ever. Yes, I should have put 76 kilos or 77 on, but I didn't because I'm a fool. And I was just thinking, like, if I can do this in a WOD fatigued and the technique isn't great, like, should I be shunning myself? Like, should I be saying, that's not good, don't do it? Because as a weightlifter, like looking in on CrossFit, we always talk about like how bad CrossFit technique is, like how bad CrossFit's technique is in weightlifting. Obviously, it has been improving a lot over the years as weightlifting has become more of an integral part of CrossFit, but it does happen that it's a bit ugly, and does that really matter? So as I said, today I had a workout within which there were a lot of snatches. I'll put the workout up on the screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about here. And in my opinion, these were not my best snatches technically that I've ever done. And as I said, it kind of just got me thinking. So I thought I would talk about how important technique is and whether that's something that we should always focus on or whether it's something that we can sometimes kind of just like put on the back burner. And obviously, like when it comes down to it, what is more important, strength or technique? And when it comes down to what is more important for you to focus on? Does technique matter that much? Now, before I start, I do just want to make a few disclaimers. First and foremost, I believe, like it is my training ethos, I believe that you can't have strength without technique. Like, one must coexist with the other in order for you to be a successful lifter. If you look at, like, say, strongmen, they are 100% strength. Like, they have little technique. However, they still need and rely on that technique in order to execute movements. Now, in my opinion, every single lifter is either has one or the other, has like a strength bias or a technique bias. And that just really depends on who you are as a lifter and how you evolve as a lifter. I rely a lot on my power and strength to get me through stuff, which is prevalent in the snatches today because I basically straight leg power all of them because I have a lot of power at my hips. However, I still rely on my technique to be able to keep the bar close. So everyone has a bias. You're either like a strength biased athlete or you're a technique biased athlete, but there's always one. Like, one doesn't exist without the other if you want to be a successful lifter or if you want to successfully complete any kind of weightlifting or strength training. Like, you always have to have both together, whether that's like an even split or whether it's a 70-30 split, however it is, they do have to coexist in order for you to successfully carry out the sport. And also, I should just put in a disclaimer, it doesn't really matter whether you're a strength bias or a technique bias. That's really just down to like personal development and like how you lift personally, because some people just are stronger and less technical, and some people are more technical and less like strength based. So it's really unimportant and doesn't matter. Like, you're not better from anybody else if you're like stronger or technically more efficient if you lift the same numbers. It's all the same. And I should also make the other disclaimer that sometimes you won't be super technical and sometimes you won't be super strong. Like, they both kind of like ebb and flow, especially in weightlifting. Like, some days you'll be feeling like you can lift like the Chinese, like Liu Xiaozheng, and like your technique is unbelievable, and the next day you'll walk in and feel like you've never touched a barbell before. And the same kind of goes with strength. Some days you'll feel really strong and hit like a new PB, and some days you'll be lifting your starting weight and that will feel heavy. So they both ebb and flow and they both coexist. And yes, usually one person has more bias than the other, but just bear in mind that they don't exist separately, they exist together. And that's what makes weightlifting work. That's what makes strength training work, that you have to rely on both of them, and that's how you become like a more consistent athlete. But that is a very big just notch that I just have to put there so that people don't misread what I'm about to say. So to kind of put like a pinpoint in that, it's like both of them matter, both of them important, but what I want to say is just like bear that in mind with what I'm about to say. Don't take it out of context. So to refer back to, is technique that important? Now, within certain contexts, I believe that technique sort of becomes not irrelevant, but really difficult to control. So I think that there is a certain time and a place where you can put pressures on yourself to be technically efficient. And within CrossFit, there is a lot of time and a lot of places where the extra pressure to be technically better is really unnecessary and could be detrimental to your performance overall. So today, for example, when I was working, like when I did my first few sets at 55, they were some of the worst technical snatches I had ever done. And instead of choosing to be frustrated and annoyed at the technicality of it and remaining at that weight because I wanted to technically be better, I sort of just appreciated the fact that this is in a WOD, okay? So you are pre-fatigued, you are aerobically like challenged, you are facing like other external factors that mean that you won't be able to fire all of the right things that you need to fire in order to execute it perfectly. So to bear that in mind and just move past it and just continuously try your best to do your best, because really at the end of the day, that's all that you can do. So I did those 55 kilo snatches. They were some of the worst snatches I've ever done. As the set went on at 5, it did get better, but it wasn't great. And then it was 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ascending weight. I continued and just continued going up because that's what the aim of the workout was to achieve more every single set. So that's what I was setting out to do. I wasn't setting out to lift really beautifully. I was setting out to get through the workout the way that the workout is written and make sure that I am achieving what the workout wants me to achieve. So in that specific context, what I'm trying to say is that technique doesn't matter, and it can sit a bit further back on like the importance scale of what you are trying to do. I think the important thing to remember is that whilst I say technique doesn't matter, my lifting is still technically pretty good. Like, I don't want to like toot my own horn or whatever, but I'm still able to rely on the fact that I have got technical efficiency that I don't have to think about so much, and that doesn't break down so much when I'm in a WOD. Obviously, if you are in a WOD and your technique starts to break down so much that you aren't able to complete the workout, or you don't have the capabilities to be able to complete the workouts at the required weights, obviously that is where you need to address the issues and realize that maybe your bias is probably more strength and that you need to work more on the technical bias to make sure that you're then able to complete the workout. But that during workouts, it's really important to not be too harsh on yourself and not to judge yourself too much for what the snatches look like, because it may end up being detrimental. Like, if I had judged myself on my first set of snatches, I wouldn't have gone up, and then I might not have snatched 75 at my last weight. So it's picking and choosing specific times when it's important for the athlete or for yourself to think, right, what is my priority right now in training? Like, what is the goal of this workout? What should I be focusing on? And then from there, just like choosing what you let your mind drift to. So today my aim was to go up and weight every single set. My aim wasn't to be technically really efficient. So that's what I went with. And so I didn't allow myself to get frustrated or annoyed by how my snatches were looking, because I just thought, right, that's not the aim now. And it's okay to do what I'm doing and just keep working at what I'm working at. Like, this set doesn't define who I am as a weightlifter, or doesn't define how technically efficient or not efficient I am. So what I'm saying is basically that sometimes the technique is kind of irrelevant. Like, if you are able to complete a workout at the prescribed weights, under fatigue, and it's a bit ugly, it's kind of irrelevant, because if you are technically really efficient, but you can't complete the workout because you can't perform under fatigue, like you can't keep that technique efficient throughout whilst you're under fatigue, then it's kind of irrelevant that you're a good lifter or that you're an efficient lifter, because you can't complete the workout. So what I'm trying to say is that within specific contexts, it's okay for your technique to not be 100% efficient. So are there times and places where technique has to be at the forefront of your mind? Yes. Are there times and places where your strength needs to be at the forefront of your mind? Yes. However, being able to select those moments and then not be too frustrated with yourself or get annoyed with yourself because those aren't the focus at that specific time is totally okay. And I think as a weightlifter, I've really sort of come to appreciate that in CrossFit a lot more, in that sometimes your technique will break apart because you are pre-fatigued, and that's okay as long as you're able to hit the weights and obviously you're not like endangering yourself or like putting yourself in harm's way. It's kind of irrelevant because you need to complete the workout, so whatever you need to do to complete that workout is what you need to do. Now obviously I'm not saying like do whatever you've got to do, like just put the weight on, like that's obviously not what I'm saying. Keep it within the realm of what you can do, but what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to be so hard on yourself, and that sometimes you just have to just do the workout. And like technique doesn't always have to be at the forefront of your mind. You don't always have to be the prettiest lifter. You've just got to do what you've got to do, and don't ever let, like, I think that for me, like I often let the way that I lift, like the way that it looks, I let it then take over and make myself feel a certain way about the training, when really I should just feel positive that I completed it. And if it really bothers me that much, then to do more technical work is all I'm trying to say. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen. When you're pre-fatigued, your technique will break down. That is just the way it is. That happens whether you do this in CrossFit or whether you do this specifically in weightlifting. You have to become aware of where it breaks down, how it breaks down, to obviously move forwards. But that, as long as you're completing the workout, as long as you're doing what needs to be done, the rest is kind of irrelevant, and you don't need to be so hard on yourself. I hope that helps. I think I just kind of wanted to share my kind of like experience with it, because it is hard sometimes to not be like really self-critical about lifting and like what lifting looks like, because there is like this really like, I feel like there's this very prejudice about weightlifting that it has to look a certain way, when really every single lifter is different and everybody lifts differently. And as long as you are being safe, like you're not hurting yourself or putting yourself in like injuries way, then really it's, you know, it's each to their own. Thanks for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. So let's subscribe to my channel and stay tuned, because I upload every 4 days. So stay tuned for the next video. Bye.